Good morning and welcome to our session around thinking differently about managing performance.
I'm Nicola Forbes-Taylor and I've been working in HR for 15 years now. I'm a Chartered Fellow of the CIPD and a qualified coach, and I've been working with leaders in fast growth organisations to create great leadership, intentional leadership, great cultures and drive high performance. And I've been using all the levers at my disposal to do that. And now I work with OpenBlend to help our clients do just that with our tool.
Excellent. So my name is Anna Rasmussen. I'm the founder and CEO of OpenBlend. We are a people-centric performance management platform. I have been a leadership development coach for over 15 years, and approximately 10 years ago, I noticed a shift in the way that we were working and that people managers really needed support in driving performance via understanding well-being, an individual's motivators as well as their deliverables. And I've done in the last 10 years, I've done exactly that, dedicated my career to developing a piece of software to help people managers do that. So today is all about thinking differently about how we manage performance. And we intend to share our thoughts around how individual drivers and people managers are absolutely vital in driving performance today. So in April or May, I think, last year, the CEO of Cloudflare released a very thought-provoking quote. So the pandemic has resulted in what effectively is the largest work-from-home experiment ever conducted in human history. And what we're interested in, so if the pandemic resulted in an experiment, what have been the results of the experiment? So I think we can quite confidently say that hybrid working is something that has come out of the pandemic. So Nicola, how do you think hybrid working is going to impact today's workforce?
So hybrid, as we know we're already facing, drives this need for tech-enabled connection. That's the biggest thing we've all been working with through this lockdown. It's also driven an increased focus and an increased understanding, I think I'd say, on the employee needs, and those employee needs around ability to have greater clarity around what is expected of them, around their objectives, around their direction. The need for more regular feedback. We know millennials, we've known this, we talk about this a lot. I know, millennials need a lot and have been very vocal about wanting a lot of feedback. But what we now know is that everybody actually needs it to know whether they're hitting the mark. And employees need that on a regular basis in a quality sense. Also, we all need this listening, we need support, we need coaching. We need that, and we need it in a really conscious way now. And with this removed proximity physically, we also have this greater sense, I think, that's come up in the later stages through lockdown around feeling connected to the wider team, feeling connected to each other and feeling a sense of being part of something. I think that's really come out through lockdown.
Okay, so really what we're saying is that there's a much deeper need for self-awareness, for understanding each other, for that level of connection.
Yes.
Okay, so to go through into that in a little bit more detail, I'm sure everybody in this room today has seen this visual on LinkedIn over the last couple of weeks, and I think it's caught a lot of people's eye and driven quite rightly quite a lot of attention. And it's a very simple visual that I think highlights very well how actually we're underpinned by more than salary and a job title. And actually a much better measure is a number of different components that underpin success. So, but actually, and this is what I've been working on and dedicated my time to over the last 10 years, is actually a true measure is the level of fulfillment against a number of personal and professional drivers that underpin the right mindset to delivering high performance. So, this is, we've been working with organizations since 2015 around this. And what I think the pandemic, the result of the pandemic is that it's really sort of thrust this into the forefront of people's minds, which actually I'm absolutely thrilled about. But Nicola, it'd be great to get your understanding on, so if a true measure is an individual's blend and how fulfilled they are against this. Can you share a little bit about the impact that would have on the effectiveness of a people manager? If a people manager can understand what really drives an individual, what impact does that have on driving high performance?
Well, in my experience, and I imagine, you know, everybody signing in here, we all have this sense that we know our managers operate so much better when they understand their people more. I mean, the impact is huge. It is incredible. And when you've seen it, you know how powerful it is, right? So what we need is a way to enable people to have that impact. Because what they can do is they know where to support and they know where impacts are likely to happen. So what you've shown there and what we work with at OpenBlend is this blend around what is work focused, what is life focused, and also what all comes together. And everything's really come together now and everything's a blend. But when you identify those elements, a manager can understand what will drive performance and what could derail the performance. And they can actually work proactively with the employees to do that. And even more powerfully, an employee can understand that for themselves.
Yeah.
When we understand that for ourselves, you know, we want to be empowered to know how can we take things forward? How can we develop our own skills? How we can, you know, fast track our own careers? And the more we want to do that, we need input to do that. We need understanding to do that. And we both as coaches 100% believe in that empowering the individual as the start of all of that journey. And that's what I think is hugely powerful here. It's managers, but also employees. And when you connect that understanding for both, the impact is huge.
And I think what we forget sometimes as well is the for a manager to be managing an individual and driving performance in an individual when that individual knows what drives them.
Yeah.
So they're coming to sit down into that one-to-one or into that relationship knowing what's important to them, so they can explain that to the manager and say, actually, what really drives me is recognition. What really drives me is an effective team. What really drives me is clear career goals and direction.
It makes it really open, doesn't it? It's like a real adult to adult conversation. It's not a manager talking down to somebody or the employee saying, listen to me. It's actually a very open conversation. It's like open on the table in front of you saying, you know this motivates you, I know this motivates you. How do we get the best out of this? What do you need from me? What do you need to do? It makes it a really proactive, open conversation.
Yeah. And I said before, I'm so excited that this is so much higher up on the agenda in organisations now post-pandemic, because I said this is something that we've been working on and are hugely passionate about for the last 10 years. So this is great. So another great quote from Gartner is that a key trend will be to prioritise performance management so that it's an employee-centric experience. So, and I think what we believe in and what we're sort of really passionate to kind of shout about is that the winners in the winning organisations in post-pandemic and in how they need to adapt to a hybrid workforce are the ones that no longer intend to manage performance, but actually rather will what they're focused on is in enabling an employee to perform. So that mindset shift. But we can sit here and be all kind of thought leadership like about this, but what would be really great, Nicola, to understand from you as an implementation and success consultant, so you're in these kind of leading organizations day in, day out, how are they actually delivering that in the day-to-day?
Well, the biggest thing I notice in our clients is the mindset. The mindset is, this is an opportunity. This is actually an opportunity, and that can be an easy thing to say, but when we really get there, it's a really powerful thing, really powerful place to be. So seeing it as an opportunity, and I think linked to that, we've known for a long time, and HR professionals on the call now will be thinking, and we've been working on that for a while. We have lots of processes in HR, we have lots of things that are tick box. And we want to move away from that. And there's a number of things that our clients have been working on to move through that, because what you need is something to move to. It's not enough for us to say, yes, we're going to help you supercharge your career. Yes, we're going to give you really focused direction. How? And a piece of paper does not work remotely. And sharing documents and spreadsheets becomes really clunky, and we got all the data protection issues, all sorts of things come up, but also it's not a really valuable experience. what you need is a way to be able to do that in a really forward-thinking way that's engaging, all in one place. And what our clients are doing is doing that through OpenBlend to be able to enable a really great user experience. So as a few examples, Dr. Martens, what an exciting brand to work with. They're amazing, and they are so focused on their people. They want to put their employees, it's intrinsic in their brand, that whole rebel nature. The whole way that they work is about empowering their employees. They want and they recruit people who want to drive their own career, who want to take ownership of their actions and take steps forward. Pardon the pun, taking steps forward in their Dr. Martens. So Dr. Martens, that's what they're really passionate about using the tool for, and they're using that globally. We also work with Saatchi, who are really focused on taking this journey, and they're on that journey right now in transitioning this whole transformation from performance via a tick box through to a real engaging, valuable conversation. And it's an ongoing conversation that's meaningful. It's not a tick box that you just do at the end of a year. It's something that's living and breathing, and it's something that we keep having conversations about, and where feedback is really active and where well-being is part of the discussions. They're really passionate about curating a culture that supports great well-being. It's one of their huge passions at Saatchi, and we're really proud and excited to work with them with that. And also with Gymshark, a great brand that have thrived through lockdown, as we've all, maybe some of us less so, but focused on our health and exercise. And Gymshark have been really passionate before lockdown, throughout lockdown, about looking after their people and also maintaining a great connection with their people. Their culture is incredibly strong about how team focused they are and how people feel part of that team and that culture. And when lockdown happened and they couldn't be in person anymore, OpenBlend was fast-tracked massively to enable them to have that connection on a global level throughout the US as well as in the UK.
Yeah, they're a really interesting one with Gymshark, because we were rolling out with them in a phased approach, and in March last year when it first happened, they were like, right, we're not phasing this in now, we're accelerating this, and we're going to get OpenBlend rolled out very quickly. And actually, there's a number of things that they've done. They're a truly sort of people-centered organisation, but OpenBlend is fundamental to that, and their engagement scores last year are the highest they've ever experienced, with everything that they're doing. Yeah, which is fantastic.
Credit to Adam and the team.
Yeah. So what we're saying here is that this is moving away from this tick box. It's not just about looking at performance. It's not looking at the occasional engagement survey. This is much more than that.
It's not managing performance. It's empowering employees to drive their own performance.
Okay, brilliant. So let's look at a quick visual of what people-centric really is. So people-centric performance. So we know, because we work in it day in, day out, but what does that actually mean to the audience today? So how would you bring that to life?
I would say in my 15 years leadership experience, what we can sometimes and maybe perhaps too frequently do is we put so much time and so much effort into going out and finding amazing talent. We spend it all on that upfront piece, and we bring these great people in, and then we sort of say, here you are, Mr. or Mrs. Manager, and then we say, maybe you'll set some smart goals, and we just sort of do this, and then we think this magic is just going to happen. It's just ta-da, and
it doesn't.
Really, funnily enough, that's where it starts sort of eroding. Yeah, and it all sort of can get a bit interesting, shall we say. And so in my experience, and I'm sure lots of people are sort of nodding and smiling as we're talking about that, because it's such a common thing. And it's not because we don't want to understand our people and connect our managers to their people in a really meaningful way. It's how do we do it? How do we do it? And what we need to do is understand where the magic comes. And the magic comes in connecting the employee and putting them up front and center. And what we're doing there is we're understanding their motivators. So just like we understand, and maybe in that recruitment process, we've done even psychological profiling. You might have done a Hogan test to actually understand people's derailers. So if you understand their derailers, we're starting to explore that at recruitment, and then we sort of go, yeah, we'll put that in this virtual drawer over here, and we'll never refer to it again. Maybe if we do a leadership program later on, it'll come back out. But what we can do with OpenBlend, and when you have a people-centric performance, you actually bring that into a connected conversation. And those motivators are part of how you understand and you enable that employee to perform, because you put it right at the center of the conversation, you understand it right from the start, and then you keep touch points with it so that any conversation about performance is connected to the motivation and the capability of that individual.
I think it's really about underpinning, isn't it? I put visuals, so sort of really looking at what underpins a high performer. So if you look at an individual who is not in the right state of well-being or isn't motivated, and they're dragging themselves out of bed in the morning and they're not in a good place, and then you try and get them to deliver, compared to working with an individual where you're tapping into their drivers, you understand what makes them feel confident and happy and able to manage stress, so you're really looking after that individual, then they're going to thrive with the performance objectives that you're giving them, because we all know, page 1, item 1 is that you're in the right state of mind to deliver objectives. So it's absolutely vital that in any kind of performance management or performance conversation that person is front and center in that.
And like some of our clients said the other week in our conference, they were saying that through lockdown, by understanding people's well-being, understanding what had changed for them through lockdown, I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, but when we understand that, it's able to help people take steps towards that higher performance, even when it's difficult. And life is difficult at times. There's things that are going to affect people's motivations. It's not about us always being, in that top 90%. Yeah, we're on it. Done our burpees, we're ready to go. It's actually, there'll be times that are difficult.
Yeah.
And what this creates is sustainability, and it provides resilience, because it's about the real. This is the real. That people are motivated and we have ups and downs. And when we understand those motivators, and we understand those ups and downs, we can help people be the best version of themselves. And sometimes that will be keeping going when they could have not kept going. And sometimes it's about driving to that really high end. And we want to get to that high performance. And through lockdown, some of it's been about just keeping going. And some of it's been thriving. And that's great. And hopefully as we come out the other end, we can get back to that thriving, exciting place.
So what we want, so in its simplest form then, people-centric performance is about putting the employee front and center, then layering on the performance delivery, so what they need to do. And I think that's really key. And we touched on that right at the beginning. The thing that's really changed post-pandemic is that, and working in a hybrid environment, is that need for absolute clarity.
Yes.
How are we going to measure it? What does it feed into? When are we going to check in about it next? So everyone knows, and that really builds trust, I think, as well, and reduces that need for any
clarity
kind of...
is so important. So the performance deliverables of actually knowing what is expected and when.
Yeah.
So that in a remote sense, you've got that, you've not got that physical presence. You know exactly when it's needed, and you can focus your time in the right way.
And that leads, I think, onto a bit that's absolutely vital in this, is the manager in that. So if everything's set out, everything's clear, you've got clarity on what people are delivering, you can build that level of trust. And that's you'll be setting yourself up for success here. But also is about supporting managers to have those really valuable one-to-ones. And I think, manage what we've seen through the pandemic, and is set to continue with a hybrid working environment, is that managers have been thrust into actually how to support people in a remote environment. It's a very, very different skill set to managing people that you can see.
Yes.
And that we've seen that across all of our clients, and actually the reliance on using this framework. So I think what we do in OpenBlend, but again, it is ensure that you're supporting managers through the right kind of frameworks to be having effective conversations, so they can feel confident in those frameworks. So in OpenBlend, we use coaching frameworks, we use the GROW model, and that it's populated with the individual's data to ensure that conversation is flowing in the right way.
It becomes more natural, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then they have the prompts so that they can have the confidence. The feedback we get from our clients is that the managers feel confident because that they know the prompts are there in the tool. And then as they get used to it, their confidence grows and grows and grows. And that conversation is more natural because it's not this stilted, I must ask a question, I don't know what question. And also that fear that some managers, as we know, as HR professionals, will say, but if I start that conversation, what if? What if? The coaching tool questions are in there to help those conversations, so that you don't need to fear that, you're not going to know where the conversation goes. I love that about the tool. I think they've been great builds in the tool to help managers have those conversations.
Yeah, and those coaching prompts and ensuring that managers are supported with the right kind of prompts are it's imperative to ensure that managers are learning on the job. This is a new environment for them to thrive as a people manager. Absolutely. So yeah, learning on the job. Okay, so what we thought would be really nice to share and really interesting for you guys to hear is actually 2020 has been a year that our clients' needs have evolved like no other year. And, we're a very responsive organisation. You need to be in the world we live in now. So I thought it'd be quite interesting to show what functionality, a new functionality we have pushed through our product roadmap and what we've released to support our clients to respond to the changes and drive high performance in a remote and hybrid working environment. So alongside the use of blend and wellbeing, so key components of the tool, which actually we've never seen usage like it, so people have really been relying on that, aligning objectives. So one of the key things we saw early on in the pandemic is the need for individuals to understand how their objectives fit into the bigger picture. So it's really important that they understand that. So we drove that through objectives, so really aligning that in. The other area is around manager confidence, which we've just spoken about. So we've really upped the ante on the number of prompts and support there are for managers in the tool. Shorter conversations, the Zoom fatigue, the video fatigue. We knew that people wanted to have much quicker, more focused conversations. So we released something called Talking Points, which is employee-led, which enables the employee to create an agenda that suits them for that particular time to drive their performance. Recognition, we've spoken about it. We know that positive recognition drives productivity by up to 36%. It's absolutely vital. And in lockdown, feedback has been around, but it's been much more focused on development as opposed to positive praise. So we've released high fives in the system to ensure that everybody is receiving the recognition they deserve wherever they are. And integration, we've integrated with Teams now. So integrating with our day-to-day video platforms to ensure that's really and makes it seamless and makes life easier for people. So, but we just thought we would share some of the functionality that we've pushed through to ensure that we're supporting our clients to adapt to the opportunity that is this hybrid workforce. So we are now going to move on to a Q&A, and we're going to run a poll. You'll see the poll sitting alongside the presentation.
How have work-life blend drivers changed over the pandemic? I'm so proud of this one. I'm so proud that we've got this kind of live data to show. The biggest thing, and I posted it, we'd love you all to follow us on LinkedIn because we post this data quite regularly. But one that we posted quite recently was the latest shift in the top 10. And money has dropped down again. And actually what's gone above is making a difference at work and time with family and friends. So, which I think is amazing because it's true indication of how the world has changed and how our drivers and motivators and everything has changed in this last year.
That's one of my favorite questions to managers when you have either a drop in performance or people are saying we don't know how to turn things around. My question to managers is 100% of the time, do you understand what motivates your people? And this piece of data is there for you HR leaders to be able to say, I can guarantee it's not money. I can guarantee it. That's a hygiene factor, but it's not the motivator.
Yeah.
So, you can use that data in those conversations. Actually, there are other factors, and the data says that.
Yeah. And let's not forget that self-awareness as well, actually, just going into it that. So another question, how do people managers encourage connection and engagement with the company when employees don't have an office own desk to come to? Isn't this a conversation we're having all the time? We ran a round table the other day where this was like the main topic of conversation because organizations have spent so much on kind of pool tables and the drinks trolley on a Friday and all these kind of things in a physical environment, and now we don't have that actually all the time. What people managers need to do is create that culture, that connection in conversation. So how do they do that? Well, we've been talking about all of that on this session today. Nicola, do you have anything extra to add to that?
I think it's about taking it to a deeper level and understanding what people need, because actually by understanding what people need,
those ongoing conversations meet a lot of those needs, but then the actions that come out of those discussions could follow on. So what people could say is, I'm missing actually some physical connection. So as we start mapping things out on our journey towards being able to meet up in all different guises, but in reality, in real life, in physical proximity, you know, it could be arranging walks, it could be arranging, but actually for some people, they might say, I actually like the being working from home. You know, so it's understanding ultimately what people need. Because for us as HR, in our HR community, we're often coming up with loads of ideas, and some of them take lots of time, and we spend loads of time trying to develop them and implement them. And then it's really just like soul destroying when it doesn't have the desired impact. And often we haven't understood what the need is and what do people actually want, and the tool can help us understand that.
And that I think what you've touched on there, just we've got 1 minute left here, is that actually the difference between looking at a micro and individualized level. What does that individual person do? So people managers need to worry about that individual, whereas the HR teams and the business need to worry about the macro and the aggregate data in order to make their people strategies off the back of that. Okay, well, we're just about to run out of time, so it just leaves me to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been I really enjoyed this session, and I hope you have too. If you do, we'd love to talk to you more about OpenBlend. If you want to find out more, openblend.com, we'd love to speak to you, but we will be sending the results of this poll out to everybody as well. So thank you very much for joining us.